Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakha Kodash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of great millstone that rule well and live in the word and doctrine. Shalom, in peace. May that be to the elect of the nation of Israel. With the Israelites going once again to prophesy the return of Yahweh Shai HaMashiach and go through current events and filter it through the scriptures, Lord, will it be edifying.
That's right. This is an article from End Time Headlines. Okay. And the headline reads, calls for attacks in the US intensify online, prompting law enforcement to step up security for synagogues and Jewish businesses. Goes into local and federal law enforcement agencies across the US are stepping up their patrols of Jewish houses of worship, Jewish-owned businesses and Israeli diplomatic buildings as calls for attacks on the Jewish community in the United States intensify online.
And this is just a part of the tensions. There's going to be those not just towards that specific group, but everyone, and everyone's becoming polarized. There's for a lot of people, there's way past the point of talking. A lot of people are willing to get carnal, but we know what we're meant to do, remain spiritual. We know these things were written aforetime. This is Luke chapter 21, and read from verse 7. It says, and they asked him, saying, Master, when shall these things be, and what sign will there be when these things shall come to pass? And he said, take heed that ye be not deceived, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, meaning I am anointed, I am Mashiach in the Hebrew, saying, I am Christ, and the time draweth near. Go ye not therefore after them. When you shall hear of wars and commotions, be not terrified, for these things must first come to pass, but the end is not by and by. Then he said unto them, nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and great earthquakes shall be in diverse places, and famines and pestilences, and fearful sights, and great signs shall there be from heaven. So that's just a few, just to name a few, so watch out for these wars. It speaks about in 2nd Ezra, 15, 16, the tensions, the commotions between people, even people of the same, ethnos or group, people divided in every way they can, on thought, gender war, civil war within, it starts ideologically, and then people are going to become, carnal and frustrated. Again, though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. We are to remain peaceful, as it's written.
That's right, more instability, sedition among men. People are going against their government, man, because the pressure is getting to people. Okay. So it says, former Hamas leader Khalid Mashal recently called for Friday to be a global day of anger in support of the recent Hamas attack on Israel, which has left over 1,300 Israelis dead. He said demonstrations would send a message of rage to Zionists and to America. Historically, such calls for action or for a day of rage have produced large demonstrations and unrest in Gaza and the West Bank, but such calls have not led to large-scale attacks in the US in the past. Oren Siegel, the vice president of the ADL Center on Extremism, said such calls are common in the Middle East, but now they are becoming more common here. Right now, we're concerned about the vulnerability of the Jewish community and the possibility of violence targeting the community, he said. We're seeing how white supremacists online are glorifying what happened in Israel. We are also seeing organizations on the left at rallies and other events who justify and celebrate that violence as well. Multiple law enforcement officials told NBC News that they are monitoring a lot of chatter on social media about retaliatory attacks against Israel's counterstrikes on Gaza, which have also killed over 1,300. But none of the online threats are specific and credible. According to 3 officials, a standard that law enforcement applies to intervene to stop a potential perpetrator of violence. However, anti-Semitic threats have been and continue to be made specific to the Jewish community in the US, multiple senior law enforcement officials say. Law enforcement agencies in cities like New York and Washington, D.C., as well as federal agencies, are increasing their security posture. We are at a heightened posture in talking to our counterparts across the country. This is the highest level of security a lot of cities have had in some time, one senior law enforcement official said. That's the end of that article there.
So that raises tensions for everybody as well. Whenever there's an area of hostility, even from groups that are not, on either side of the fence, if you like, the fact of that hostile, that hyper secure, that militarized environment, patrolling, that's again going to increase, people's angst. People are going to become less patient. It says an iniquity shall abound. Why? Because the love of many shall wax cold. So people going away from them niceties, and becoming more alienated from, normal human emotion. But these are all the things that were foretold. It's going to get rough in the end. We knew that it was prophesied aforetime.
Right? Just like birth pangs, within a woman getting closer to delivering the baby, it's going to increase in frequency and intensity. Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 1 says, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he was saying to me and what I shall answer when I am reproved. Right, and we're constantly watching. Right, we're on that spiritual watch tower, watching for these prophecies coming to pass, which they are. Again, warning our people to take heed. Right. Verse 2, and the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though we tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry, and it's surely not tarry, man. It's jumping off the paper, really. It's shouting. Okay. Because whatsoever was written aforetime was written for our learning. Okay, and these prophecies written for our time, or before time, is taking place now. Right.
That, again, just because these are not potentially major players on the world stage, seemingly, when you go into the backing and who's supporting each of them, any, wrong move on anyone's part could have drastic consequences for the whole earth, but people aren't paying attention like that. Some people are, and with this new, unfolding of events, maybe some people are watching for a time, but if they were to say, all right, maybe it's not as dangerous as we thought, a lot of people just go about their daily business, they wouldn't be thinking, which you do go about your daily business, you do what you have to do, provide for your family, so on and so forth, but you have to stay watching. We're not saying, when I say go about your daily business, I'm not saying freak out, buy 10,000 packs of beans or anything like that. But in terms of watching, remain watching. If they were to say, right, maybe it would get dangerous at the start, but we've analysed it, we thought, it's probably not going to get that dangerous. A lot of people will just switch off, but you've got to say switch on. These things were written aforetime, for a purpose, for us to watch, to be tokens, to be signs of the time that is upon earth, that is upon us.
That's right. We don't just watch once and then warn somebody or people one time and then not warn them again. Right? It has to be a constant, repetitive, thing. All right, so that you can get the people's minds ready for what's to come, okay, and prepare them mentally and spiritually.
Especially for those watchmen that are looking to get that incorruptible crown, it's considered a race. You don't pump your legs, 2-3 times and think you're gonna win it. And it talks about enduring until the end. But that's more so a marathon race. Although it's gonna be quick, it's gonna be a sprint. Because no one really knows where the line is. You might know, right? Well, by this tree, you might know the end is soon. But who knows when soon is? So even the Messiah himself said of that day and the hour, no man knoweth but his Father in heaven, our Father in heaven. Not even the angels know it. Not even the, Hamashiach, Yahushai, the Messiah himself, does not know that day or the hour. So we keep pushing like a marathon, but we know it's soon like a sprint. So it's about balance, it's about maintaining consistency until you reach that finishing line.
Isaiah chapter 62 verse 6, I have set watchmen upon thy walls, O Jerusalem, which shall never hold their peace day nor night. You that make mention of Yahweh, keep not silence. Right, and we're constantly, uploading videos and lessons, okay, of prophetic events unfolding, okay, and then telling our people, so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native and Seminole Indians, West Indians and Haitians, to repent, okay. Verse 7, and give him no rest till he establish, until he make Jerusalem, which is the people before place, a praise in the earth. That's right. We're not resting, okay. This places in our rest first of all, okay, and we ain't resting in warning and edifying our people with the Spirit, of course.
This is Ezekiel chapter 3 and verse 18. When I say unto the wicked, thou shalt surely die, and thou givest him not warning, nor speakest to warn the wicked from his wicked way, to save his life, the same wicked man shall die in his iniquity, for his blood will I require at thine hand. Yet, if thou warn the wicked, and he turn not from his wickedness, nor from his wicked way, he shall die in his iniquity, but thou hast delivered thy soul. Again, when a righteous man doth turn from his righteousness and commit iniquity, and I lay a stumbling block before him, he shall die. Because thou hast not given him warning, he shall die in his sin, and his righteousness which he hath done shall not be remembered, but his blood will I require at thine hand. So knowing it, you've got a duty, you've got a responsibility. If you see something, say something. You're not going to let someone, if you see a thief breaking through into someone's house and you have a mobile number to that person, you're not just going to watch that happen. So similarly, when you see these, it says, how does it phrase it exactly? It says sin lieth at the door. So when sin's lying at the door, waiting, to creep in by spiritually binding that strong man to be able to take hold upon that house, proverbially, you need to be raising the alarm, sounding the trumpet. It's the idea of an alarm, a trumpet.
1 Corinthians chapter 9 verse 24. Know ye not that they which run in a race run all, but one receiveth the prize? So run that you may obtain. That's right. And every man that striveth for the mastery is temperate in all things. Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, but we an incorruptible. Right? You've got many people out here who are chasing, the money, the bag, looking for that corruptible crown, which is going to perish, right, on earth. Alright? And a lot of our people are, too much into this world, into this system, this society. Alright, instead of putting your Yahweh Shem Yahshai first. Alright, when you're running in a race, alright, you're not looking back to see where others are, and you're running to try and receive that prize, man. Okay.
If I may, I remember doing a sports day, primary school, and I was dusting them, but I started looking left, I started looking right, and next minute, they're in front. Because you're not focused, you're not on track, you're not looking where your eye needs to be, keeping your eyes single.
That's right, focus on one thing. Verse 26, I therefore so run, not as uncertainly, so fight I, not as one that beateth the air, but I keep under my body and bring it into subjection, lest that by any means, when I have preached to others, I myself should be a castaway. Right, man.
The majority of the New Testament, the epistles included, is written by Apostle Paul. So even in all the work he did, remaining diligent, he still spoke in a very humble manner. After I've spoken to people that I may be a castaway, he was still considering that as a possibility. He wasn't speaking like he'd already made it.
That's right. So another article again from End Time Headlines. It says, alert, day of jihad sparks warnings for Americans to stay inside on Friday. Americans are armed and will not be intimidated. Commenters including Matt Gaetz have said after a former Hamas chief called for a day of jihad by Muslim communities around the world on Friday, October the 13th, which is today. It says Khalid Mashal, who now heads the militant group's diaspora office in Qatar, told Reuters on Wednesday that Muslims should head to the squares and streets of the Arab and Islamic world on Friday and hold mass protests in support of Palestinians as the conflict with Israel intensifies. In a video posted on YouTube, but since removed, he also called for Muslims to show anger on Friday and send a message of rage to Zionists and to America, according to a transcript posted on X, formerly Twitter. Gaetz, a Florida Republican, reshared a post about Mashal's comments on X, adding, fuck around and find out. Floridians are armed, we won't be intimidated. Joey Manarino, a conservative podcast host, took a more cautious tone, posting, do not leave your homes that day unless there is an emergency, avoid public transit, avoid airplanes, avoid public events. Jason Howardson, an X user, with more than 108,000 followers, wrote, "Do not be paranoid, but absolutely be strapped." Another social media user who runs the firearms business in Tennessee asked followers on X what weapons they would be carrying on Friday. Salam al-Marayati, president of US non-profit the Muslim Public Affairs Council, rejected Mashal's calls on Thursday, telling Newsweek, "Hamas is a terrorist organization, and this is what you expect from them. We denounce their terrorist activities and definitely don't even consider their calls for more fighting to be heeded by any Muslim, because the number one thing you must abide in Islam is if you are in any fight, you should not target civilians." And that's the end of that article there.
So that's serious tension, serious pressure from both sides, and it's a thing that no side is going to back down. You can't be. If you're a believer, in these scriptures, you need to be observant and don't buy into it. Don't buy into the idea that one side is right or one side is wrong. They're both wrong. Let's say it like that. Don't buy into the idea that one side is right. Focus on what the Heavenly Father said. Because if you're going by these scriptures, the Holy Bible, no action on either side is justified. The fact that those that are dwelling there, is according to prophecy. But it's not, as the Messiah said, "My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom was of this world, then my servants would fight." So our fight is a spiritual fight. Again, we cannot emphasize that enough. Luke 21 and verse 24, "And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled." So they is referring to the children of Israel, fall by the edge of the sword and led away captive into all nations is 66 through 72 AD. 66 through 72 AD. The fall of Jerusalem, the abomination of desolation, and that's when foreigners to the land. Originally it was the land of Canaan. Then Israel took over, but then from there it's the land of Israel. So foreigners took over. That's Gentiles, means nations. Hagawayam, other nations, until the times of the Gentiles and the times of the nations be fulfilled. So right now it's their time. But a central part of prophecy, the valley of Yahweh-Shaphat, meaning, or Jehoshaphat, Yahweh-Shaphat, the Lord's judgment, is taking place in the Levant, the Fertile Crescent, the Middle East, for lack of a better term. So watch it. It's a prophetic landmark upon the earth. But these things, again, it was written, the Gentiles would take over Jerusalem. This is not something foreign, in terms of foreign outside of the book. That foreigners would be taking over the land.
Isaiah chapter 1 and verse 7. "Your country is desolate, your cities are burned with fire. Your land, strangers devour it in your presence, and it is desolate, as overthrown by strangers." And that's right. Exactly, yeah. Our homeland being Israel, okay, which you've got the 1948ers, Amalek, and you've got Ishmael, warring over something that does not belong to them.
Which both of those groups are Semitic. Both groups are Semitic, so any attack on either side, alright, technically you could say it's anti-Semitic, but their response attack, is also anti-Semitic because they're from Shem or Sham. So that, again, using biblical terms to describe a secular, idea or framework, if you like, of race, ethnicity, so on and so forth, is confusion. Which is more proof that the Lord's knowledge needs to flood the earth now more than ever. But we know it's not gonna happen like that. Hamashiach, the Messiah, is gonna have to return and deal with everything that's happening right now. And the more to come. That's when the earth will go back to a state of peace. That's when a kingdom will be established and the truth will prevail. No more lies, no more murder, no more adultery, no more of any of these, evilous acts, which everyone on the earth, all nations, and when I say all nations, I mean all nations, are being, hindered by. When it's all said and done, it said how's it phrased? When the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. So everyone will benefit from the Messiah returning. There's going to be a great judgment, and then transgressing will get a punishment, absolutely. When it's all said and done, everyone will be happy with this, to their own certain extent, their own certain degree. The earth is going to be reset, rejuvenated. That's the true global reset.
Right. Second Esdras chapter 4, verse 37. By measure hath he measured the times, and by number hath he numbered the times, and he doth not move nor stir them until the said measure be fulfilled. Right, so these prophecies they happen in order. Okay, and you can't have World War III fully manifesting itself until the RFID microchip is fully globally mandated. Okay, so these prophecies happen in time order. Okay.
There's a lot of people that scoff and mock at the idea of an order to prophecy. Well, it's very simple. For example, the curses were written upon us, were written to be upon us forever, but that ever is not forever, even forever and ever. It's a figure of speech. Like Jake was, oh man, I was in traffic forever. Are you thinking, well, how are you in traffic forever and you're here now? Well, clearly it's a figure of speech. So it's about discernment. But again, you have to have someone to teach you that. But absolutely, there's an order to it. So the order was, we'd be in slavery, in servitude, in a down condition forever, for a long time. And then when it was complete, when it was fulfilled, then Hamashiach would come and redeem us from that. Lord, will it be us? Says they of the north country and the lands wherein they were scattered. Jake was scattered all over the earth. That's why we're praying, hoping, trying to make our calling and election sure that we're able to get redeemed according to that promise. It was made unto the children of Israel, the elect, the children of Israel.
So there's another article in the same source. It says, if Israel, Hezbollah and the US carry out what they are intending, prepare for World War III. Yeah, they're coming out with it now.
I remember when the whole Russia-Ukraine thing, they were like, well, are you going to help out Ukraine? And Joe Biden said what? No, because that would be World War III. So although he maybe can't string a sentence together, there's more to him than it seems. So I just wanted to interject with that.
Says most people do not know what will happen in the Middle East, but the mainstream media is treating this crisis as simply a temporary conflict between Israel and Hamas that will eventually pass. But that isn't what this is. This is the final conflict between Israel and Hamas, and it is going to spark a much wider war. Sadly, after the atrocities that Hamas has just committed, the Israelis have no choice. If American women were raped and American babies were ruthlessly slaughtered, most Americans would feel the exact same way. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin, not a real Jew, aka Netanyahu, is telling us that every member of Hamas is a dead man, and the only way to accomplish that is to go into Gaza and kill them. Announcing the formation of a unity government in a late-night TV appearance, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowed to keep fighting Hamas. Every member of Hamas is a dead man, he said. Hamas is Daesh, or Islamic State group, and we will crush them and destroy them as the world has destroyed Daesh, he said in a brief televised statement, the first delivered jointly with his war cabinet. Netanyahu also detailed some of the atrocities that took place during the Hamas attack. He said boys and girls were shot in the head and that people had been burned alive. If Israel moves into Gaza, the Wall Street Journal is reporting that Hezbollah has warned that it is prepared to open a second front. With Hezbollah, which is designated a terrorist group by the US and is closely linked to Persia, enters the conflict in a concerted way, it would stretch Israel's army and strain the country's air defences, giving Hezbollah's arsenal of missiles capable of striking Tel Aviv.
If I may, it speaks in Ezekiel about Gog, Magog, dealing with Russia, and it goes into Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with me. So Persia is an ancient name for Iran. The modern Iran was linked to that Persia, so watch out for Iran. They're a big player in biblical prophecy as well, Persia. And touched on, especially bearing in mind Gog and Magog and all the tensions, that are still ongoing. It's like people forget once a new controversy or a new interesting thing happens, everything else goes out the window. I know they're all chess moves. Just because you focus on one side of the board doesn't mean whatever's already been put on the other side of the board isn't still playing out, or isn't still there.
That's right. They expect more, terrorist attacks as well, man. So, I believe it was in the 1920s where the name of Persia, the country, was changed to Iran.
Okay.
But I can double check that.
And Persia goes back to a Hebrew word, parash.
Hezbollah has privately warned Israel that it is prepared to open a second front if Israeli forces launch a ground assault in Gaza. According to Arab officials and diplomats, but whether Hezbollah follows through with the threat is a central topic of debate for Israeli leaders. The Biden administration seems to think that Hezbollah is probably bluffing, but they aren't bluffing, and if Hezbollah officially enters the war, Israeli Defense Ministry Yoav Gallant is pledging to return Lebanon to the Stone Age. Israeli leaders are trying to deter Hezbollah from joining the fight. Do not make a mistake, Defense Minister Yoav Gallant said while visiting troops in northern Israel on Tuesday. If God forbid an escalation or confrontation erupts here, we will return to Lebanon to the Stone Age, or we will return Lebanon to the Stone Age.
Which was was it Einstein that said the fourth war would be fought with sticks and rocks or something?
Yeah.
Which we understand the idea of past the third war, the third world war, there won't be war. Once true Israel is returned to their homeland, under the Messiah's orders and commands, there will be no more war. It will be peaceful from there.
That's right, true peace. Alright, that proves that, those people in the land today cannot be, the real biblical Israelites. Right?
And although we've got them, for example, from Dimona, we're not out here claiming that they've been delivered by the Messiah, or that's part of prophecy. It's part of prophecy. They found out and woke up to who they are, but about returning back to the homeland, that's, on the Messiah's watch. It's like people are trying to, force prophecy. We hasten it, by bringing it out. That's how you do it. You don't hasten it by trying to make, what's due to happen according to prophecy, in the order of prophecy. Highlight that point again. You can't just force it. There's things that need to happen. For example, for us to return home, the Messiah needs to come back. So that's a key. That's why you need to understand the order of prophecy and the fact that that's a concept.
That's right, and that land will be, blessed and fruitful when, when the whole nation of Israel returns there. But right now it's not. We had to import some sort of grass in that land, to try and make it look as if they're fulfilling prophecy. And then 1948, was a joke really.
Which it was, one government, one empire or rulership who was handing over that land to Israel apparently. When that's not in prophecy. It's not in prophecy that that land would be conquered by one nation and therefore given, to Israel. That's already happened. Go back to the time of Nehemiah, Ezra. That's the most similar thing you can try look upon there. But about the final return, where all war ceases, so that's under the Messiah.
That's right. The users wanted to build with us, build a temple with us, but we ain't having that.
Right, but some groups today, they're proverbially doing that again. They're trying to build with the other nation, which is not saying, based on phenotype. If someone's saying, right, I'm not Israel, and I want to preach or bring in the doctrine of Israel, well, there's nowhere in that. There's no place for that in the book. Again, it's not part of prophecy.
The article reads, in addition, as I discussed yesterday, there have been reports that Israel has also threatened to destroy Damascus. Needless to say, such a move would bring Syria into the war. And actually, Israel is already conducting airstrikes in Syria. On Thursday, the IDF bombed the major airports in Damascus and Aleppo. It seems Israel is indeed holding the Syrian government under Bashar al-Assad responsible, as on Thursday, the IDF has struck back against Syrian targets. Syrian state television is now confirming that Israel has launched attacks on the country's two main international airports in the capital of Damascus and Aleppo in the north. It happened while an Iranian plane was inbound. According to Reuters, local media channel Sham FM and Syrian air defences were launched in response to both attacks. It said here had been damage but no casualties at the Aleppo airport, but did not give any information on the impact of the strike on Damascus airport. That's that article there. Right, so, turmoil, right, it's purely taking place, yeah. And all, nations are going to be gathered into the Levant, the Middle East, Battle of Armageddon, right? Armageddon,
Mountain of troops, isn't it?
Yeah. Mountain of troops, valley of troops, okay. And the American army, military, morale of that nation's military is low, very low. Got a lot of alternative lifestyles in there. Okay. Really, they're just not prepared for war.
There's even studies, generally on all men. I don't know the sample, but men's testosterone is down from how it was 20, 30, 40, 50 years back. We're an a place of all-time confusion.
That's right, Babal, confusion.
Babal Haggadah, and that's where it ultimately stems from. That's where all these fanciful new ideas, seemingly new ideas, repackaged ancient, mystery school system ideas, ancient Egypt, sorcery, just repackaged in this new Sodom, this new Egypt. That's all it is.
A well-favoured harlot with all its witchcraft and sorcery, man. Okay. You can identify as anything you want there. Even as a grown man, you can worship
Identify as a 5-year-old.
Exactly. Worship any god there. You say the Christian country, God bless America type thing, right? And that when the Lord clearly hates America. So Ezekiel chapter 36 verse 1. Also, you son of man, prophesy unto the mountains of Yasha'Allah, and say, you mountains of Yasha'Allah, hear the word of Yahweh. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh power, because the enemy hath said against you, aha, even the ancient high places are ours in possession. Therefore prophesy and say, thus saith the Lord power Yahweh, because they have made you desolate and swallowed you up on every side, that you might be a possession unto the residue of the heathen. You are taken up in the lips of talkers and are an infamy of the people. Right, and infamy, going back to the word infamous, means you're famous for something bad, not infamous. Okay.
Being loud, being reckless.
Alright, where that's
killing your brother.
Precisely. And that's going back to the curses in Deuteronomy 28. Alright, but where, that city that people wagging hiss at, alright, in Lamentations.
Pure reproach. Jake, if you think of the worst qualities of humans, Jake is famous for the majority of them.
That's right.
And become the poster boy for it.
That's why Scripture says, our people's deeds have surpassed the deeds of the wicked.
Yeah. You've even taught the wicked ones thy way. And it's not in a good way.
That's right, man. And, we have been, swallowed up by these heathens, man. Okay, we're at the bottom, oppressed. Okay, everywhere we go. All right, these heathens have proverbs and bywords for us, man. Okay, and best believe every community where Israelites are scattered to, even Israelite foreigners. All right, we'll be catching all types of hell, man. All right, no matter what nation we're in. So yeah, verse 4 says, therefore you mountains of Israel, hear the word of Yahweh power. Thus saith the Adawan Yahweh to the mountains and to the hills and to the rivers and to the valleys, to the desolate waste and to the cities that are forsaken, which became a prey and derision to the residue of the heathen that are round about. Therefore thus saith the Adawan Yahweh power, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen, and against all Idumea, which is the Greek way of saying Edom, which have appointed my land into their possession, right, Amalek, the 1948 is a small hatters, right, they're in possession of that statehood of Israel, along with the Ishmaelites.
Trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled.
Which have appointed my land into their possession with the joy of all their heart, meaning mind, with despiteful minds to cast it out, to pray.
Which is called, because if you read in the Balfour Declaration, it speaks about the joy, or with great pleasure in my heart, or something that I can't remember the exact phrase, but there's some that links to the idea of joy there as well. And beyond a time of colonialism now, what justification was there for Britain to dictate who the land belongs to? Of course, from a legal perspective, fair enough, they owned the land. In a time that's so quote unquote woke and so against colonization and war and everything like that. Well, what right did they have? They captured that, and before them, what right did they have? Who does the land belong to? It raises up this whole question. Now you've got them now that are against the idea of borders. They believe there should be one government, and you've got extremes on both sides. It's a very polarizing time. But again, we need to get, as people are getting radical, on each side, we need to get radix, rooted into these scriptures. As people are becoming fundamentalists on either side, we need to get back to the fundamentals of the love of the Messiah. And that's how you guide yourself correctly. That's the fruits of the Spirit. That's what we need to be gathering up and watering. While people are trying to gather up arms.
The Spirit is love, kindness, gentleness, meekness,
temperance. Against such there is no law. There's no law against anything. But there is law. There is law against becoming violent, becoming disagreeable. Not disagreeable like standing up for the truth. But disagree with it intentionally. Difficult. Causing problems for people. These are wicked. What do you say? Characteristics. Intentionally causing someone grief or harm when you need not. But we're going into a time again where the love of many will wax cold, iniquity will abound. So expect these things to happen. And to be what does it say? To be forewarned is to be forearmed spiritually. It's a spiritual war, so you need to be spiritually armed. Spiritually shielded up. So
that's right, yeah. And just look at the state of the country of Israel, man. Right, you got Pink City over there in Tel Aviv.
Kosher Paul.
Exactly.
How do you figure that one out?
Can't make something, take an unclean thing and make it clean.
Right. So that which is crooked cannot be made straight.
That's right. And you got the Arabs over there as well, man. Which really they've got their so-called holy cities of Mecca and Medina. So they shouldn't be over there fighting for something that don't belong to them. Both parties.
Yeah, that's the irony. That's why I say don't get fixated on well which side is right, which side is wrong. Well, the Lord is right and everyone else is wrong. If you try to look at it from a secular humanist perspective, well, you're looking with the wrong lenses on. Simple like that. And it's very easy to empathize with either side. On a carnal level, if you've had something done wrong to you, your family, you're going to be upset. Anyone can get that. But alright, it's not about, emotions, it's about what did the Lord prescribe and decide. Because that's the perspective we ought to be coming from if we want to be objectively correct. If we say we believe in these scriptures, well, let's take that on.
Ezekiel 36 verse 6. Prophesy therefore concerning the land of Israel, and say unto the mountains, and to the hills, to the rivers, and to the valleys, thus saith Ha'adawan Yahweh power, behold, I have spoken in my jealousy and in my fury, because you have borne the shame of the heathen. Therefore thus saith Ha'adawan Yahweh power, I have lifted up mine hand. Surely the heathen that are about you, they shall bear their shame. But you, O mountains of Israel, you shall shoot forth your branches and yield your fruit to my people of Israel, for they are at hand to come. right. Okay, so ultimately, these heathens, man, they're going to be, judged. All right, and ultimately, the land of Israel is going to be, destroyed too, just like Babylon the Great will be destroyed as well.
There's twofold. It says the land of unwalled villages. Right? It's going to be two great hubs of where destruction will take place.
That's right, man, because that place is heavily defiled. So there's another article that says, Israel will not restore power to Gaza until all hostages are freed. It says every Hamas terrorist is a dead man. Okay. It says Israel is refusing to restore power or allow water and fuel into the Gaza Strip until all of its hostages are freed. As Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that every terrorist will soon be a dead man. The firm stance Wednesday came as Israel's army is expected to launch a ground strike on the region within the coming days in response to the horrific weekend terror attack that killed more than 1,200 people, mostly civilians. Humanitarian aid to Gaza, no electrical switch will be turned on, no water hydrant will be opened, and no fuel truck will enter until the Israeli abductees are returned home. Israeli Minister of Energy and Infrastructure, Israel Katz, tweeted early Thursday. As of Thursday, Hamas had taken around 150 people captive, including women and kids, while threatening to post footage of them being executed. The humanitarian Katz tweeted in Hebrew, according to the Austin American Statesman. Among those believed to have been kidnapped by Hamas is Sharona Harel, who had been attending a music festival near the Gaza Strip on Saturday when terrorists paraglided into the area and shot revelers in the street. Time to be going to a music festival, especially near there. It says the mother of two texted her husband, Yotam, that morning, "They are shooting at us. We are hiding." Yotam and his brother, Ohad Harel, then drove about an hour and a half to get to the festival, passing shootings in the streets with rockets firing overhead, Ohad told the Post. To get to a festival.
Wow. Even, when I was back in the world as a young man, those festivals just made me on edge anyway. I never minded an area as, tense and unpredictable as that.
That's right. Even Carnival, I wasn't even.
Yep. Especially that, because you got Jake, lit. Jake getting lit. That's the number one, especially as a Jake, number one target. Did you just look at me? Oh no. Sorry, Mr. E. Yeah, go ahead. That's Jacob.
That's right.
Yeah, it's probably escapism, man. All this happening because there was a lot on earth happening prior to this. A lot of people are still stuck in that, that C-19 depression. That's had a big rolling effect on jobs, on this, on that, on family dynamics, and this. People have had, loved ones possibly, on lockdown, they couldn't visit them. A lot of that messed up a lot of people's heads, man, and had knock-on effects even to this day, believe it or not. So people are still trying to escape all the evils happening on earth through these murky events. But you're best getting some yayan, some wine and just chilling at home, man. All that party is long and it's dangerous. Each to their own. But a lot of people are trying to maintain and remain in that spirit of mirth, even though you can see, it's a time of mourning, things coming up on the earth.
That's right, because judgment is just it's running rampant throughout the earth. The Lord is pouring out judgment, man. So, be wise to, go out for things that you for necessity purposes instead of, trying to live it up because, these people are on edge and, there's these demonic spirits jumping on people and things like that. So you've got to be, circumspect and cautious of your surroundings and how to move, of course, move spiritually and, just be aware of who you're around and things like that. That's why you have to be, vigilantly sober.
If you can be at peace with every man, if you be all possible as much as life is. And it's not difficult. It's really not difficult to just, operate as a normal human, be polite, be respectful. Someone's in a rush, they look angry. All right, cool. No sweat, man. Go, man. I'm not. I can wait 5 seconds. Not having my life take for that.
Exactly.
People are. I'll just say they're
on edge.
That's it. They're on edge.
That's right. They're used to that quick access gratification type thing. Instant. That's it.
It's like that TikTok attention span, man. It's killing off people's heads, man. Frying them.
Especially the youth.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So
unrestricted access to selective, but unrestricted access to them, 60 seconds, and if it don't make me laugh in 5 seconds. And I'm guilty of it too, YouTube shorts, some of it, and then you get caught in your algorithm and it's sort of interesting, but you have to balance that. And if you've got nothing else to balance it out with, then that's all you're doing, you're just searching, for that all the time. You get too comfortable with that, so everything you do, and you're looking for pleasure in it.
Exactly. When we must maintain that temperance.
It says it's like
be temperate in all things.
I was thinking of it says in the scripture, a man that loves pleasure shall come to poverty, or something like that. If you mind searching it up about it, sure.
That's right. Yeah, because you can get some edifying things from certain shorts.
Yeah, 100%.
But just don't get consumed with that,
Especially if it's tailored to you from a, and you're looking at them, you're interested in them, historical or, something we can make use of. But don't let it fry your brain out. Yeah, love pleasure, potentially. Or pleasure and poverty.
We're in a time where, people, just want to, try to be like, argumentative over little things and things like that.
Right.
Even if they're in the wrong, they'll look to blame the other party.
A sinful man shall not be reproved to find an excuse according to his own work. And how many people are striving to be not sinful?
With this section.
If you're out and about, not saying don't be vigilant, don't be aware of your surroundings. If someone's going to argue or prove, give them the benefit of the doubt. It's never going to hurt you. Too many times pride can get people killed. It's like a Boondocks, a nigger moment. Stepping on a man's shoe. Hey, you stepped on my shoe. Okay, so what? Alright, sir, I'm so sorry. I did not mean to step on your shoe. And keep it pushing more. 9 times out of 10, that's going to resolve it right there. But pride can never, be a help in any situation.
That's one thing the Lord hates as well.
Right? But it was just he that becomes, I'm paraphrasing terribly, he that's, proud, when one becomes proud, that's when you're departing from your maker. And as brother said earlier, the fruits of the Spirit, it says meekness, against which there is no law. There's no law against being meek. So why not?
Proverbs chapter 21 verse 17, he that loveth pleasure will be a poor man, he that loveth wine and oil shall not be rich. Get that same verse in the NLT. It says, those who love pleasure become poor, those who love wine and luxury will never be rich.
It says also wine and women make men of understanding to fall away. Wine and women, two great things when used correctly.
That's right, it goes back to that balance.
There it is. Too much water you can drown. But you don't have it, you're dead.
That's right. You have to be a cut-off point at times where, you don't want to deal too much in that. You can just, certain people you just cut off completely. Or at least distance yourself from them for a bit. Things like that. So especially coming, in the way of you serving the Lord, things like that. Go back to the article. It says So it's Netanyahu, meanwhile, joined with the top political rival Wednesday to create a wartime cabinet to oversee the fight, vowing to crush and destroy the terrorist organization behind the mass slaughter. Every Hamas member is a dead man. Said that a lot. And said he promised in a televised address. Opposition leader Benny Gantz said that he was united with his rival and ready to wipe this thing called Hamas off the face of the earth. The refusal to help turn electricity back on came as the United Nations is pressurizing Israel to allow humanitarian aid to Gaza. After the government cut off food, fuel and water supplies to the region in retaliation for the terror attack.
So you think you're going to sit down and talk over a cup of tea and talk to them people and say, listen, I know you're really upset, but just sort of leave it. You can't. We'll see how it plays out, but according to, I'll speak as a man, I won't speak for the brother, but I can't see that dying down, and going back to, as it was, peace talks, especially bearing in mind everything happening, especially bearing in mind, people's short attention spans, they're on edge. We'll see, but this looks like it's another stepping stone, another chess move by the Lord, to intensify that. Though it tarry, wait for it, it will not tarry.
Right. Sirach chapter 29, verse 21. The chief thing, chief meaning important, right? The chief thing for life is water and bread and clothing and the house to cover shame.
Right.
That's right. And that's why, they took those things away from those people. All right. Because everyone needs water, everyone needs food, everyone needs clothing, and everyone needs shelter.
Even He gave us that in slavery. So that, we were reduced to animals. Or I don't mean literally, we were reduced to we was treated like animals. But they won't even let them have that.
That's a very effective war tactic.
Absolutely. They did that in 70 AD. They did that to us. The Roman forces, they cut off effectively the food supply. I'm not sure about water. I'd have to look back over it, but that's why, a lot of the Israelites, they resorted to cannibalism. They'd run out of food, and that was their only source of sustenance at a certain point. So it's a crazy thing, and that, when you can't eat, when you can't drink, when you don't have housing, when you don't have, what's the other one, Salaki?
Bread and clothing.
Clothing. When you don't have these necessities, you'll lose your mind, man. Survival mode. You see how quick them people that would be, those respectable people, you can go after me. How quick they would turn into, if you treat someone like a savage, a lot of the times, they will become a savage. It's simple like that. But again, if you can empathize with, how certain people are feeling, both sides are feeling. They feel like they were hard done by. They feel like their people have been attacked, have been mistreated, so they're angry. On both sides. Does it mean it's right? Absolutely not. But you can see how difficult it would be, to resolve that by talking. So the Lord will deal with it, however He sees fit. Whether it's a resolution for now, or whether it amplifies. The Lord is, the Father of spirits. He's in control. Wherever He sees fit will play out.
Exodus chapter 17, verse 16. But he said, because the Lord has sworn that the Adawan Yahweh will have war with Amalek from generation to generation. And that proves that, these Edomites are still here today. Alright? You might have certain Christian scholars that say, the Edomites have been done away with. Alright? And Amalek being the chief head, right? The chief tribe of the nation of Edom. Right? Because you've got Timon, right? Which is the so-called Germans today. They're considered the wisest out of all of the Edomite tribes, right? But then the Lord still has, war with all Edomites today. But, notice how he's pinpointing Amalek, okay? And they were the first to attack us when we fleeing, ancient Egypt. So, the Lord still, has war with Amalek today. And that's from generation to generation, and are not people still generating? You know?
It even says about in general, the people whom the Lord has indignation forever.
That's it.
And that forever is a forever. I know how I said earlier, there's a forever and a forever, even forever and ever. Someone could try to spin that and say, well, what about that? Well, it is, because you can see when E's done, the Lord's not going to be there. You know what, maybe I was wrong about them E's. I kind of like them now. He's still going to have that indignation.
So, this is another article again from Entire Headlines. It says, Professor in Virginia, the state of Virginia in America, offers extra credit to students who attend rally resisting Israeli occupation. It says, a professor at the University of Virginia appears to be offering extra credit to students who attend a discussion about how to stand in solidarity with Palestinians resisting occupation Thursday night. According to a screenshot obtained by Fox News Digital, Tessa Farmer, an associate professor of global studies and anthropology, the study of humans, at UVA, sent a message to students on October the 12th to promote an event hosted by Students for Justice in Palestine, advertised as a demonstration, or as advertised as a teach-in and demonstration about the current situation in Gaza, the events in history that led to this moment, and the discussion about how we can stand in solidarity with Palestinians resisting occupation. So it says in the message, Farmer told students they can receive extra credit by attending an applicable event that relates to class conversations on themes, and then write a 250-word reflection that ties the event to a course reading. The message has caught the attention of Republican Virginia Attorney General Jason Miyares, who is very concerned and looking into it, according to a spokesperson. Professor later sent a subsequent message to her students, which was forwarded to Fox News Digital by a UVA spokesperson, clarifying that the goal of her extra credit policy is for students to attend events around grounds that are applicable to the global studies course topics, recognizing that important issues will have a diversity of perspectives. By posting the information provided by the organizers about the event that is happening today, I did not intend to imply that there is a link between endorsing the viewpoint of the organization and receiving extra credit for the course. In attending any event, I encourage you to critically engage with the content presented and to form your own opinion, she wrote. In the reflection on any event, the request is that you critically engage with the content of the event using the tools that the class offers, she added. Many student groups at higher education institutions across the country have come under sharp criticism after the deadly attack carried out by Hamas terrorists in Israel on the 7th of October, the deadliest day in Jewish history since the Holocaust. UVA's Students for Justice in Palestine chapter said the attack against Israel represents a step towards a free Palestine. And that's it on that article. They like to harp on, the Jewish Holocaust, back in the reign of Hitler. They always bring that up in their history, things like that.
The defense.
Yeah.
If we were to say, well, this is a hypothetical, let me throw out a disclaimer. This is a hypothetical event, and I do not mean this. But if a group of so-called African American individuals, went and did some evil sin upon a certain group of people, and then said, well, remember, we've gone through some afflictions, that doesn't justify it. The same way, if someone's doing, murder back on, those individuals. But remember, this happened to our group. Alright, fair. If a horrific event happened, it's horrific. Cool. That doesn't therefore justify, carrying on sinful actions, or perpetrating, violence against another group, and using that as an anchor marker.
They like to tell us to forget what happened, tell us to War One, World War Two,
Right?
the
They
Holocaust.
even have a phrase lest we forget.
Yeah.
What about the so-called black man?
The Holocaust was a lot worse.
The methods of torture. You know, objectively, there was more mass death. But one is a event. The other one is the event. You know, like it's the sole one or the worst in history. But it comes back to Jake being on the bottom. Jake doesn't have the publication to be pushing out narratives like that. Fair enough, social media, but to organize multiple companies of publication or something like that. You've seen the video where they all have the exact same headline. They like 20 of them all say exactly the same words. Well, that's a group. It's certainly not Jake or that's a group of companies owned by one individual or set of individuals. Jake doesn't have that sort of power. That's about being the bottom, not the top. The tail, not the head.
Get another article as well. Brilliant. This article says fears grow of war engulfing the entire Middle East. It says from this mountaintop perch above a valley straddling Israel and Lebanon, Mohammed Meghis has watched no fewer than 4 wars unfold. There was the 1967 Middle East War, when he was a small boy and his family scuttled from one place to another to avoid the bombs. In the 1973 Yom Kippur War, a pair of Israeli Phantom warplanes, their tails aflame, streaked above his head one night like shooting stars before crashing into the valley. In 1983, during the First Lebanon War, he hid as Palestinian fighters in the valley faced off against Israeli troops arrayed on his side of the mountain. He managed to survive the Second Lebanon War in 2006 as well. Ever since I became conscious of the world, there's been conflict here, always, said Meghis, 62, his eyes lingering on the houses in the Lebanese villages Daira, just across the border. But none of those, he said, will compare with the war he believes is now brewing between Israel and its hostile neighbours. As Israel lashes back forcefully against the massive attack on its soil by Hamas militants, Meghis and others fear that an expected ground invasion of Gaza will spiral into a titanic clash that pulls in Iran and its proxies, including Hezbollah in Lebanon and the Gaza-based Islamic Jihad. Hamas has called on those groups to open new fronts against Israel if the nation's tanks roll into the Gaza Strip. It won't just be conflict here, but everywhere, all the Middle East. Meghis said Hezbollah, Iran, everyone will join. In a worrisome preview of what might come, border skirmishes have already erupted here in northern Israel, on the other end of the country from Hamas, multi-pronged cross-border attack. On Tuesday, a firefight broke out when gunmen slipped through the Lebanese border into Israel, killing 3 Israeli soldiers before they turned back. A day later, Meghis and other residents of Arab al-Haramshire, a tiny Israeli Bedouin village, watched as Hezbollah anti-tank missile slammed into an Israeli position on a nearby hill. A response, the group said in a statement, to Israel targeting 3 of its fighters 2 days earlier. Israeli forces replied with artillery shelling that hit 10 houses in Daira, leaving 3 people wounded. Lebanese authorities said sustained heavy machine gun fire echoed through the valley, said Khalid Swiden, the 80-year-old patriarch of his family. That's on that article. That's somebody's perspective on that, who's lived through that.
And it's a time like no other as well that you have social media to be able to get all these different perspectives. You know, there was never, you had letters from World War, you know, this, that. But now every single person, as long as they have access to a mobile, a smartphone, and an internet connection, you know, they're able to either show you directly, you know, or share with you their, you know, stories and perspectives. This is a, you know, it goes back to they should go to and from, knowledge should be increased. It's like Daniel 12 and 4, I believe.
That's right. Knowledge of technology and knowledge of even the scriptures, through the Spirit being poured upon, you know, the Lord's prophets and servants. Alright, because you know the prophets today, they know more than the prophets back then, and they had visions. Alright. Now that we're coming to the understanding of it as well.
Like John the Revelator wasn't understanding of what he was, you know, perceiving. However, then is now interpreting.
That's right. In certain terms, of course, he wouldn't have known back then. That's why I have to describe him knowing the terminology of his time. You know, like a great hail, you know, for ICBM missiles.
Right. Jacob, but it doesn't say ICBM. It's simple.
Revelation 11 and 14, the second world is past, and behold, the third world comes quickly. We're talking about World War III, because World War II and World War I already took place. Now we're approaching the third world.
Jeremiah 50 and 34 says, in fact I'll start at 33, it says, thus saith Yahweh of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast and refused to let them go. Their Redeemer is strong, Yahweh of hosts is his name, he shall thoroughly plead their cause, that he may give rest to the land and disquiet the inhabitants of Babylon. So you have to remember the Redeemer, you know, of the children of Israel is strong. And a lot of these nations have got judgment, but all nations, including Israel, have got judgments prescribed, you know, each according to the works of that individual, you know, whether in this life or the one prior.
Psalm 119 and 100, I understand more than the ancients because I have kept thy precepts. Scripture talks about through thy precepts I get understanding, right, and that's what King David said as well.
And he said, if I'm not mistaken, I know more than my teachers, he said.
Oh yeah, it's a verse.
So it's about increasing.
Psalm 119, verse 99, I have more understanding than all my teachers, for thy testimonies and my meditation.
You have to meditate in the law, meditate in his words.
Really to think upon.
You know, it's easy to get thrown off track in terms of your meditation. You get stress from this, stress from that, stress from this. You need to be able to balance that. Coming to this, you know, not able to maintain, you know, meditating when you're in the wrong job. You know, it says who, Yahweh Shai said, you know, who's ready to set a tower that doesn't sit far down and say, well, do I have enough to, you know, build it? Do I have enough to finish it? Do I have enough cement? Do I have enough blocks? Count the cost.
This headline says Israeli military warns 1.1 million citizens in Gaza that they have 24 hours to relocate south. Dire times, alright.
And it's not just like a time where you can just stroll around with a tent, and hunt and gather and deal with it like that. You're really having to look for food, accommodation, stuff like this. It's not as easy as you see in them cartoons. They have a stick and they have that tower wrapped on the edge, and they just go strolling. Like, you can't be doing that. That's a very but as I say, drastic times call for drastic measures.
It says Israel's military informed the United Nations early on Friday that the 1.1 million Palestinians in Gaza should relocate to the enclaves south within the next 24 hours. A United Nations spokesman said in what Palestinians fear could be a precursor to a planned Israeli group offensive. The Israeli military did not immediately provide comment on the warning, which came as Israel amassed tanks near the Gaza border and pounded the Palestinian enclave with airstrikes following a deadly Hamas militant attack in Israel. The United Nations considers it impossible for such a movement to take place without devastating humanitarian consequences, United Nations spokesman Stefani Dujarric said in a statement. The United Nations strongly appeals for any such order, if confirmed to be rescinded, avoiding what could transform what is already a tragedy into a calamitous situation, he said. Dujarric said the order by the Israeli military also applied to all United Nations staff and those sheltered in United Nations facilities, including schools, health centres and clinics. Israel's missions to the United Nations in New York did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Hamas' weekend rampage killed 1,300 people and was the worst attack on civilians in Israel's history. Israel has responded so far by putting Gaza home to 2.3 million people under siege and launching a bombing campaign that destroyed whole neighborhoods. Yeah, destruction, man. Yeah, that's the end of that article there.
The opposite of that, the end goal is what we need to keep our eye on as well. Yeah. Isaiah chapter 62 verse 1, for Zion's sake I will not hold my peace, and for Jerusalem's sake I will not rest, till the righteousness thereof go forth as brightness, and the salvation thereof as a lamp that burneth. And the Gentiles shall see thy righteousness, and all kings thy glory, and thou shalt be called by a new name, which the mouth of Yahweh shall make. Thou shalt also be a crown of glory in the hand of Yahweh, and a royal diadem in the hand of thy power. So ultimately, there's got to be a lot of hell on earth, a lot of hellacious conditions, in the conditions of present, to deteriorate even beyond where we are now, before we get to that glory. So keep your eye on the prize. If you just focus on the idea that it is what it is now, it might get worse, it might get better, in the right mindset, yours needs to be right, it's got to get worse, but at the end, it gets better than it's ever been, ever.
That's right, it has to get worse before it gets better. Okay.
And that's an endurance mindset.
That's right. Revelation 11 and 18, the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come, and the time of the dead, that they should be judged, and that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants the prophets, and to the saints. Who are the saints? The Israelites. Psalms 50 and 5 tells you that, and Psalms 148 and 14 tells you that as well. Alright. And them that fear thy name, small and great. That's right, man. The name's Yahweh, or Yahweh Shai. Those are the names that need to be feared, right, and exalted. And in due time, those names will be magnified, right, when the Lord, brings that destruction.
It talks about how the knowledge of the Lord is going to flood the earth. As the water covers the sea, or as the sea covers the water. So the same way the sea is full of water, the sea and water is synonymous. Well, the knowledge of the Lord on the face of the earth is going to be synonymous. They're going to be indistinguishable. What today is a secret for us, all this knowledge, this mystery, is going to be common knowledge, mainstream. In a time coming to you soon. No man knows the day or the hour, but we're close. We're looking at these signs and tokens, judging it from them.
And shouldest destroy them, which destroy the earth. You know by now who does that. That's right.
Proverbs chapter 4, verse 16. For they sleep not, except they have done mischief, and their sleep is taken away, unless they cause them to fall. For they eat the bread of wickedness and drink the wine of violence. And you can't be like that. Envy not the oppressor, choose none of his ways. Violent man.
Chapter 4, verse 5, and all the inhabitants of the earth are reputed as nothing, and he doeth according to his will in the army of heaven. And among the inhabitants of the earth, and none can stay his hand, or say unto him, What doest thou? At the same time my reason returned unto me, and for the glory of my kingdom, mine honour and brightness returned unto me. My counsellors and my lords sought unto me, and I was established in my kingdom, and excellent majesty was added unto me. That's right, so ultimately the Lord is in control, man. The Lord is a man of war. It tells you in the book of Exodus.
How is his name?
That's right. So there's no counsel against the Lord, there's no, saying why has the Lord done this, why has the Lord done that, he's wrong for doing this and that. When the Lord is justified in whatever things that he does.
His ways are higher than our ways, his thoughts than our thoughts.
Massive protest erupted in the Middle East, big US cities on high alert, as Hamas calls for action. So, wow, a day of rage. Open quote, no to the occupation, no to America, end quote. Chanted demonstrators, gathered in central Baghdad, the capital of Iraq, after Shiite leader Muqtada Sadr called for a protest in support of Gaza and against Israel, an AFP journalist reported. This rally is aimed at condemning what is happening in occupied Palestine, the bloodletting and the violation of rights, said Abu Kayyan, an organizer of the protest. The besieged Gaza Strip has been under heavy Israeli bombardment since Saturday, when Hamas militants stormed Israel's southern border and killed more than 1,300 people. The Israeli strikes have killed more than 1,530 people in the Gaza Strip, which has already been under a land, sea and air blockade for more than 15 years. Anti-Israel protests were also held in Persia on Friday in the capital Tehran. Demonstrators waved Iranian, Palestinian and Lebanese Hezbollah flags and held banners reading "Down with America" and "Down with Israel," an AFP journalist said. Right, and Middle Eastern nations have always looked at America as this great Satan.
That's what they call it, isn't it?
Yeah. Great Satan, man. So similar gatherings took place in other cities across Iran, where American and Israeli flags were burned. Iran, a country with a predominantly Shiite Muslim but non-Arab population, that's right, to the Islam, mainly over there, financially and militarily supports Hamas. Right, Israel is their mutual sworn enemy. In the Gulf state of Bahrain, hundreds of worshippers chanted "Death to Israel" and "Death to America" ahead of Friday prayers at Diraz Mosque. Hundreds of people then joined a protest march, some of them waving Palestinian flags and others stamping on Israeli and US emblems that were laid on the ground. In the Saudi capital, Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, where protests are prohibited, an AFP journalist witnessed police cuffing a worshipper who interrupted Friday prayers by shouting at the imam, speak about Palestine. Gaza is under bombs. Yeah, so that's that right there. You know, so rumours of wars, man.
That's what it is.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
yeah. And the word rumour, going back to the Italian word rumare, mean noise. Okay, so it's just pure noise. Right.
Noise before the noise himself.
That's right.
I grab that from Matthew 24.
Sure.
Matthew 24 and verse 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? And Yahushua answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ. It says, obviously, anointed, or Mashiach. I am Mashiach, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumours of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There shall be famines, and pestilences, and earthquakes in divers places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake.
That's right. So, you know, it's all culminating together, man. And heavy persecution is coming. Alright? Expect false flags. Alright? And small, sedition from here on out. Yeah. Especially, you know, with this economy as well, going digital, and things like that, and jobs being axed left, right, and centre. AI taking over. Alright? Replacing, you know, manual labour. But transhumanism and cryogenics as well. Okay.
Transitional period.
Yeah.
It talks about because of the wickedness, the kingdom is translated from one people to another as well.
Righteous decrees as well being laid out. And as well, the C19, you know, certain variants are, you know, making a comeback as well. So another global close down is going to take place. So they don't want to let that crisis go to waste. So that's why we're not ignorant of certain devices. This is another article again. It says multiple victims stabbed in France and China as Hamas Day of Rage gets underway. Frenzied knife attacks were reported in China and France on Friday after Hamas called for the 13th to be a global day of rage in response to the group's ongoing war with Israel. The disturbing acts of violence cannot be immediately linked to the war, but the first victim was an employee of the Israeli embassy. The second attack, which killed at least one man, came in France, where the local media reported that the assailant, who was known to the authorities as an Islamist radical, shouted Allahu Akbar, you know, Allah the greatest, during an attack on multiple people at a school. A terrorism investigation has been launched. You know that France has a history of I want to say hatred towards
tensions with Islam or
with
faith in general.
Yeah.
You know, you're not allowed to display any, for example, a turban or a cross. You're not allowed
hijab.
to display any religious artifacts. You know, even if it's, for example, covering a body part in a religious manner.
And there's that Charlie Hebdo thing as well.
Yep.
Attack that took place over some cartoon drawing of the so-called Holy Prophet, you know, as well. So,
But you see, this is going out far outside the Middle East. That's the thing, and people are going to have tension. You know, the tensions are also going to overspill beyond that region. You know, which is going to garner global attention. You know, and ultimately stir up spirits and lead to more people being on edge.
that's right. It says the call for an open quote day of rage end quote has prompted security alerts all over the world, with Jewish schools and synagogues from Palo Alto to London and Auckland closing for the day, while the American authorities increased security measures in major cities at the US Capitol. In Beijing, China, the Israeli embassy staffer was attacked with a knife in broad daylight before being taken to the hospital. Chinese authorities have not released a motive for the attack, which comes after Israel admonished China for failing to condemn the unprecedented Hamas attacks, which led to at least 1,300 Israeli soldiers and civilians being killed. Israel's foreign ministry said in a statement that the embassy worker, who was not named, is in a stable condition following the assault, adding that the attack did not take place inside the embassy compound. Disturbing video footage purportedly showing the incident began circulating online Friday, appearing to show a man screaming and bleeding as he's repeatedly stabbed by another man wielding a knife. A witness said the attack took place at around 2:20 p.m. local time, according to the South China Morning Post, with the victim allegedly helped by an English-speaking passerby. There's another witness who heard screaming said he saw a tall, thin man wearing a white top leave the scene while carrying a knife. An investigation is now underway. It came after the Israeli Foreign Ministry said it expressed deep disappointment in a call to the Chinese envoy to the Middle East over Beijing's failure to condemn Hamas weekend attack. That's it on that article right there. So yeah, man, we're just expecting more tensions. Yeah.
Love of really what's in cold.
Yeah. More conflict. That's right, man. It's spiraling worldwide as well, man. Okay.
This is Psalm 147 and verse 14. It says, He maketh peace in thy borders, and filleth thee with the finest of the wheat. So when it's all said and done, Jerusalem's built up again. That will be happening, but for right now, again, it's going to be war. Rumours of war. And all these, aforementioned signs and tokens of what's to come. These are the end times. Until it's time, the times of the Gentiles is fulfilled, this is what we're looking at, right?
There's a lot of man-made, borders with certain nations as well. Okay, there's certain countries even back in the past where it was one country. All right, like Korea before the Korean War in the 50s, that was just known as Korea. There was no North and South Korea. And usually where Edom gets involved, that's where he divides and conquers.
Look at the land of Elam.
Yeah.
It's in one whole place in the three.
This is Psalm 17, verse 5. They are not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men. Okay. So the things that we undergo, that we suffer from, these other nations that they can get away with certain things, even certain things that we commit. Right? We're watching carefully. We'll get even more jail time than heathen that does the exact same thing that we may commit. Alright. They can get away with a lot.
Sin for the Lord, you let Babylon's sins reach up to the heavens before judging them. But these were the transgression. You see what happened in the jail. That goes back to that parental role. That's correction. Trust high.
Psalm 17:12. Behold, these are the ungodly who prosper in the world, increase riches. They fighting over that land, and they want the riches and the resources of that land.
On top, it's written about the soldiers. What does it say? For wood I bring brass. brass, silver, for silver, gold. If I'm paraphrasing that correctly. You know, the point is, you know, for one thing, it's not literally all the trees are going to be made of brass, but it's going to be an upgrade. You know, so what you'd expect from silver, well, you get gold. What you'd expect from gold, you get platinum. You know, what you expect from platinum, diamond. You know, whatever like that. You know, it's a metaphor for being upgraded. But it speaks on, you know, the streets being paved with all manner of precious jewels, precious metal. That's the time we're looking for. You know, we don't want that now. Well, we want it now, but we don't want that now. You know, it needs to be upgraded. It needs to be brought back.
We want the spiritual riches now. That's what we covet after. Tobit chapter 4 verse 21. Fear not, my son, that we are made poor. For you have much wealth. If you fear Yahweh, Hashem Yahushai, and depart from all sin, and do that which is pleasing in His sight. That's right, man. The fear of the Lord, man. You know, it's the beginning of wisdom, man. That's a law, right? Because, you know, seeking the kingdom of Yahweh Hashem first, you know, other things will be added unto you. Alright? You know, you don't want to get too caught up in having a lot of wealth and money, which it's not a sin to have all that, right? But, you know, you'd be tempted to, you know, spend lavishly on things which is going to entice you to sin.
Right? Or even when it comes to the time of taking that charagma, you've got more to proverbially lose.
That too.
You know, not proverbially, but seemingly lose. You know, well, when you've got your whole life, you know, seeking to try to save your life, you'll lose it.
Yeah.
We'll get a last one or two. For sure.
Get this last article. So, from End Time Headlines, it says, the godfather of AI, ex-Google researcher warns that AI might escape control by rewriting its own code to modify itself.
You know, some Black Mirror shit, some movie shit.
Yep. Jeffrey Hinton, the computer scientist known as godfather of AI, artificial intelligence, says artificial intelligence enhanced machines might take over if humans are not careful. Rapidly advancing AI technologies could gain the ability to outsmart humans in 5 years' time. Hinton, 75, said in a Sunday interview on CBS 60 Minutes, if that happens, AI could evolve beyond humans' ability to control it, he added. One of the ways these systems might escape control is by rewriting their own computer code to modify themselves, said Hinton, and that's something we need to seriously worry about. Hinton won the 2018 Turing Award for his decades of pioneering work on AI and deep learning. He quit his job as a vice president and engineering fellow at Google in May after a decade with the company, so he could speak freely about the risks posed by AI. Humans, including scientists like himself who helped build today's AI systems, still don't fully understand how the technology works and evolves. Hinton said many AI researchers freely admit that lack of understanding. He said in April, Google CEO Sundar Pichai referred to it as AI's black box problem. As Hinton described it, scientists design algorithms for AI systems to pull information from data sets, like the internet. When this learning algorithm then interacts with data, it produces complicated neural networks that are good at doing things, he said. But we don't really understand exactly how they do those things. Pichai and other AI experts don't seem nearly as concerned as Hinton about humans losing control. Jan LeCun, another Turing Award winner, who is also considered a godfather of AI, has called any warnings that AI could replace humanity preposterously ridiculous, because humans could always put a stop to any technology that becomes too dangerous. The worst case scenario is no sure thing, and industries like healthcare have already benefited tremendously from AI, Hinton emphasized. Hinton also noted the spread of AI-enhanced misinformation, fake photos and videos online. He called for more research to understand AI government regulations to rein in the technology and worldwide bans on AI-powered military robots. At a Capitol Hill session last month, lawmakers and tech executives like Pichai, Elon Musk's OpenAI's Sam Altman, and Meta's Mark Zuckerberg suggested similar ideas while discussing the need to balance regulations with innovation-friendly government policies. So on that article.
It's all good saying a human can stop it until you've got AI strapped to a military robot. Yeah, you can stop a little MacBook or whatever. You strap an AK-47 to it, it's probably fucked.
Exactly. So, Ezekiel 28 verse 1. The word of the Heavenly Father Yahweh came again unto me, saying, Son of man, say unto the prince of Tyrus, thus saith Adonai Yahweh power, because thine heart, meaning mine, is lifted up, and thou hast said, I am a God, I sit in the seat of God in the midst of seas. Yet you are a man, not the Most High God. So you set thine heart as the heart of God. Verse 3. Behold, you are wiser than Daniel, there is no secret from there you hide from thee. That's right. So because Esau, is a very proud man, right? He thinks, he can outsmart God. He's a mastermind. He thinks he is God himself, right? And even though the Lord has given him, knowledge, really on the left-hand side, which is the knowledge of with all these, technological inventions and things like that. Like all these cameras, and recording and things like that, right? He's able to, track and trace, people and where they are, man.
Or even like you say, you might mention to your brethren, I'm getting a dog. Next when you have bare adverts pop up for dog food, something like that.
Exactly. Speaking of, dogs and animals, he wants to interact with the animals as well.
I think that's a legal requirement by certain year.
Then again, Esau does due diligence searches, he does do archaeological searches, and he will research things and go places and go on the water. And
some things he's
which you can learn from him.
Yeah, 100%.
Like animals under the, marine animals under the.
Well, he always just takes it too far. That's his only problem. Like he's wise, but he just does too much. I don't mean does too much as in a vast majority. I mean, you're doing too much. I mean it from a Jake way. You're just doing it wrong. That's all.
Verse 4, with thy wisdom and with thine understanding, you have gotten many riches, and have gotten gold and silver into your treasures. By thy great wisdom and by thy traffic have you increased the riches, and your heart is lifted up because of the riches.
Traffic, now we think of it as cars travelling with goods. Like you say, for example, human trafficking, that's a charge to get arrested for. Or what is it? Trading in humans. So traffic, when you look at the traffic jam, if they're not all, lorry goods, vehicles, then technically you're not in traffic. So you have to hold up the travel. But we're interested and important.
Verse 6, therefore thus saith Adonai Yahweh power, because you have set your heart with the heart of God. Behold, therefore I will bring strangers upon you, the terrible of the nations, and they shall draw their swords against the beauty of your wisdom, and they shall defile your brightness.
We'll see that in the modern Prince of Tyrus, when he gets cracking in this third war. So that brings it full circle.
That's right. They shall bring thee down to the pit, and you shall die the deaths of them that are slain in the midst of the seas. The seas representing people. Will you yet say before him that slayeth you, I am God? But you shall be a man and no God in the hand of him that slayeth you. Thou shalt die the deaths of the uncircumcised by the hand of strangers. For I have spoken it, saith Adonai Yahweh power. You get the word traffic in etymology. So the word traffic, from Etymology Dictionary Online, the noun going back to the 1500s, trade, commerce, from French trafic, from Italian trafico, from trafficare, carry on trade, of uncertain origin, perhaps from the vulgar. Vulgar means common actually. From Latin transficare, to rub across, from Latin trans across, fricare to rub. With the original sense of the Italian verb means piddly handle.
That's what it is. And you're trading from one person to the next, to the next, to the next.
Hosea chapter 14, verse 9. Who is wise and he shall understand these things? Prudent and he shall know them. The ways of the Lord Yahweh are right, and the just shall walk in them. And the transgressors shall fail them. Born to be prudent, to walk in the ways of Yahweh, because that's how you obtain life. Yeah, that's how you stay on the right path. Any snares and traps laid out. Not just physically, but morally, financially, right, economically, many traps. But ultimately, the transgressors, they'll fail and fall in their own traps that they've set as well.
Fall by their own tongue, don't tell upon it.
That's right. So we've got a lot of whistleblowers coming out, against their own people, man. So that's a kingdom divided against itself.
How can they stand? Satan divided against himself, how should he stand?
That's right. That's scripture when it goes out. So Sirach chapter 13, verse 14. Love the Lord all thy life and call upon him for thy salvation.
So he prays being edifying. Shalom to the elect of the nation of Israel. Double honor to the apostles and the elders of the great millstone who were well, making the word and doctrine. All praises to
Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rukakodash. Shabbat Shalom.